If you've been feeding your cat wet food every day, do you actually know what it's doing to their body? Not the surface stuff, not just they seem to like it, but what's happening inside them right now at the cellular level that most owners never think to ask about. Because here's the thing, what you put in your cat's bowl every single day is either quietly protecting them or quietly working against them. And the difference between the two can show up years later in a vet bill or a lifespan that catches you completely off guard. If you're feeding wet food daily, some of what you're about to hear is going to reassure you. Some of it is going to change how you think about feeding your cat entirely. If you're feeding wet food daily, some of what you're about to hear is going to reassure you. Some of it is going to change how you think about feeding your cat entirely. Let's get into what's really happening. It has to do with a silent condition that affects over half of all domestic cats, and wet food is directly connected to it. Don't skip to the end. The context matters. 1. Their body is finally getting the water it was designed to need. Have you ever noticed your cat barely touches their water bowl? That's not a quirk. That's biology, and it's a problem most owners are unknowingly making worse. Cats evolved in desert environments. Their wild ancestors got almost all of their water from the prey they ate, raw meat that is roughly 70% moisture. Their bodies never developed a strong thirst drive because they never needed one. Water came with the meal. Dry kibble contains somewhere between 6 and 10% moisture. That means a cat eating exclusively dry food is operating in a state of mild chronic dehydration every single day. They don't feel dramatically thirsty, so they don't compensate at the bowl, and the deficit just quietly accumulates. Wet food contains 70 to 80% moisture, almost identical to what their bodies were built to process. When you switch to wet food daily, you can roughly triple your cat's water intake without them ever touching their water bowl. Their cells hydrate properly, their blood flows more freely, their organs operate the way they were designed to. Like, that's not a small thing. That's the foundation everything else is built on. 2, their kidneys get a chance to actually breathe. Most cat owners don't know this until it's too late. Chronic kidney disease is the leading cause of death in domestic cats. By some estimates, more than 30% of cats over the age of 10 have some degree of kidney disease. And dehydration is one of the primary drivers. The kidneys filter waste from the blood. When a cat is chronically underhydrated, the kidneys have to work harder to do that. Concentrating urine, pulling fluid, compensating. Or over years, that strain accumulates into damage that can't be undone. Here's what most people don't realize: kidney disease in cats is almost completely silent until it's advanced. There are no obvious symptoms in the early stages. By the time a cat is showing signs, weight loss, lethargy, vomiting, they've typically lost 70% or more of their kidney function. Wet food doesn't guarantee a cat will never develop kidney disease, but research consistently shows that higher moisture diets are associated with better kidney outcomes and slower disease progression. When you feed wet food daily, you are actively reducing the burden on organs that your cat cannot live without. That's not a minor dietary preference. That's preventive medicine in a can. 3, their weight starts to regulate itself. Have you ever had a cat that seemed hungry all the time, no matter how much you fed them? That's not greed. That's how dry food works on a cat's body. Dry kibble is calorie dense and carbohydrate heavy. Cats are obligate carnivores. Their metabolism is built around protein and fat, not carbohydrates. And when they eat a kibble heavy diet, they can consume significant calories without triggering the hormonal signals that say you're full. The satiety mechanism doesn't fire properly. Wet food is high in protein, higher in moisture, and lower in carbohydrates. That combination hits the biological triggers that actually tell a cat their nutritional needs have been met. They eat, they feel satisfied, and they stop. Studies comparing cats on wet food versus dry food diets consistently show that cats on wet food maintain healthier body weights without caloric restriction. They regulate naturally. And since obesity in cats is directly linked to diabetes, joint disease, and liver problems, that self regulation isn't just convenient, it's protective. And hey, if this is making you think differently about what's in your cat's bowl, Smash that like button and subscribe. It's how you help us reach more cat owners who actually care about getting this right. 4. Their coat changes in ways you can see and feel. This one tends to surprise people because the difference is visible within weeks. Cats on high moisture, high protein diets consistently show improvements in coat quality: more shine, less dryness, reduced shedding, and skin that isn't flaky or irritated. Skin and fur health is directly tied to protein quality and hydration. When a cat is mildly dehydrated and getting inadequate animal protein, the body deprioritizes non essential functions, like producing healthy fur. The coat becomes dull, shedding increases, dandruff appears. Switch to quality wet food daily, and you're giving the body the raw materials it needs: amino acids, moisture, animal fats to invest in coat health again. It's one of the fastest visible signs that something is changing internally for the better. 5. Their digestion becomes easier, not harder. Here's something that might surprise you. Many cat owners assume that dry food's better for digestion because it's cleaner. That's actually backwards. Cats have short digestive tracts designed for processing animal protein efficiently. The high carbohydrate content in most dry kibble can be difficult for them to process, leading to larger, smellier stools, more frequent gas, and in some cases, chronic soft stool or constipation. Wet food, high protein, low carbohydrate, high moisture, moves through the digestive system more naturally and produces less waste. Smaller, firmer, less odorous stools. Less gas, less strain on the gut lining. If your cat has ever had intermittent digestive issues that no one could quite explain, diet is almost always worth examining first. 6. Their mood and energy shift in ways owners describe as remarkable. Think about how you feel after a meal that actually satisfied you versus one that just filled you up. Cats experience something analogous. When nutritional needs are genuinely met, real protein, real hydration, real fat, cats tend to become more playful, more social, and more engaged. Owners who switch to daily wet food frequently report that their cat seems brighter within weeks, more alert, more affectionate, sleeping healthily rather than sleeping out of lethargy. This isn't anecdotal. Energy and behavior are downstream of nutrition. A body that's hydrated, properly fed, and not straining to compensate for deficits has more resources to allocate to simply being alive and present. 7. Their lifespan may actually be longer. This is where everything above converges: kidney disease, obesity, diabetes, chronic inflammation. The conditions most likely to shorten a cat's life are disproportionately associated with dry, carbohydrate heavy, low moisture diets. There's no study that can promise a specific cat longer life for eating wet food. But the cumulative effect of better hydration, healthier kidneys, maintained weight, improved digestion, and reduced systemic inflammation compounds over years, the cat that reaches 15 in good health versus the cat that develops kidney failure at 10. Diet isn't the only variable, but it is one of the most controllable ones. When you feed wet food daily, you are stacking conditions in your cat's favor every single day. 8. There's something you need to watch for during the transition. This is what I mentioned at the beginning, and it's something every cat owner needs to understand before making any dietary change. Cats who have been on dry food exclusively for a long time can be genuinely resistant to wet food, not because they don't like it, but because dry food is often artificially flavored in ways that make it almost addictive. Some cats will refuse wet food entirely at first. Some will eat less before they adjust. And a cat that stops eating, even for 48 hours, can develop a serious and life threatening liver condition called hepatic lipidosis. Do not switch cold turkey. Transition slowly. Start by adding a small amount of wet food alongside their regular food. Increase the ratio over 1 to 3 weeks. Let their palate and gut microbiome adjust together. If your cat refuses to eat at all during a transition, contact your vet. Don't wait it out. The other thing to monitor is the quality of what you're actually feeding. Not all wet food is equal. Look for options where a named animal protein, chicken, turkey, salmon, is the first ingredient. Avoid products where the primary content is gravy, broth, or unnamed meat. Byproducts. High moisture content matters, but it means less if the protein quality doesn't support what your cat actually needs, your cat chose to eat what you put in front of them because they trust you to make that choice well. That's not a small thing. And the daily ritual of filling that bowl, of choosing deliberately what goes in it, it was never just routine to them. It's the reason they show up at your feet every morning and wait. Make it count.